Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am so happy that you have stayed and you're still here with us. I am rebranding the Psychology at Work and Play channel that I had. I am renaming and rebranding it to Serena Strategy. Why Serena Strategy? I want to kind of compress things and look at a more integrative approach. And so in Serena Strategy, we're focusing on my journey of living with lupus and getting the experience of trying natural foods and supplements. And you will be hearing about my journey and how after a year and a half of using natural herbs and foods, I am now doing great. I am doing excellent. And so I want to share the integrative approach to doing that. Additionally, I will be looking at intimacy and relationships. For those of you who don't remember, I would have written a book already. It's on Amazon. It is called The World of Sex, Fantasies and Taboos. And over time, being married forever teaches you the strategy of balancing and maintaining a relationship. And then also, I have a master's in counseling and consulting psychology, and I would have worked as a health promotion officer for many years. And that also has taught me a whole lot about intimacy and relationships. So we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. I'll introduce this wonderful lady that you're looking at, who is sitting beside me quietly. You'll hear all about her in a little bit. Serena Strategy will look at intimacy. I'll also be teaching about leadership, because I would have worked for many years in a leadership capacity, and I would have helped a lot of people on their way to becoming very successful people. And when you've learned and lived the experience over the years, then automatically you have the skills and the know-how, Linda, to be able to teach this to other people who are interested. So you will be hearing more about Serena Strategy. You can go on my website, serenastrategy.com, and you will get some additional information about this rebranding. But for today, I am very happy to be sharing my platform with this wonderful lady. When I transitioned from Jamaica into the United States, I was so blessed to have met this wonderful person who loved me, embraced me, accepted me for who I am, and we're able to relate on an intellectual level and personal level. I am happy to introduce to you no other than Dr. Linda Z Nieman. And this lady has been in research for many years. She has worked in the University of Texas and for Drexel University. She has done some major research also. She's an educator, and there's so much about her, but I'll give her a chance to share her personal background and what gives her the authority to be speaking with me on this platform about this topic that we're going to be talking about today. She has 19 publications over the years. Looking at her, how fabulous she is. She's 83 years old. You're 83, honey?
83.
She's 83. Beautiful golden years. Wonderful. We look at the same age, don't we? It means then that means she is my age. She's 50 something. Right, Linda?
This something.
this something it is. So that's what it is. She has been married for many, many years. How long have you been married, Linda?
61 years.
She's been married for 61 years. That in itself has given her the authority to speak about intimacy and relationship. She is the mother of 2 beautiful, successful children, a girl and a boy. And she's also the Grammy of 5 wonderful grandchildren, and they're amazing. In fact, I'm a part of the family, so please note, I am now Serena Holder Campbell Nieman. And Starch, right?
Storch Nieman.
Starch Nieman. So I'm a part of the family. So please note. And so Over the years, she has been an educator in the health field. She has focused a lot on researches, how we relate to each other. And more so, she has been teaching like doctors the kind of connection and the type of relationships that are needed when you're interacting with people. And that in itself also has given her the authority to speak about relationships. Why are we focusing on relationships today? I have done a book, World of Sex, Fantasies, and Taboo, but I have two other beautiful books that are coming out. One is Bordering Intimacy, that talks about preparing yourself for that relationship and how do you navigate this journey of forming relationships and intimacy, how you get to maintaining long-lasting, healthy, intimate relationship. And then the second one is Beyond Intimacy. When you're married, when you're into this relationship, how do you improve your sex life? How do you improve your life overall? And so Linda and I, we were talking earlier and we came up with some wonderful stuff that we see happening every day. And so we're going to be talking about it. I'm going to allow Linda a little bit to tell us about herself and her relationship, and we can maybe start there. Talk about your relationship with Larry so you can share your wealth of knowledge and about intimacy with others.
Well, I have been married, as I said, for 61 years.
That's a lot.
Even though I'm married for 61 years, it's the person to whom I'm married has changed.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that one has to be very aware of, that you're living with the same person, and yet the same person can be quite different from the person you first got to know and married. For example, Larry and I first met at the University of Buffalo in the library.
Of all the places.
Yeah. He worked in the reserve room, and I needed to read some of the reserved material. And in those days, you just couldn't get the books as easily, so you had to borrow them for a little while. So I would come into the reserve room and borrow the book and then bring it back. Well, working in the reserve room was a young man whose name was Larry Nieman. And I began talking to him, and he soon asked me to have a drink of coffee with him. Now, I didn't know at that time, but Larry never drank coffee, and he still, to this day, doesn't drink coffee. But he asked me to have a cup of coffee, and I drank coffee, so...
And that was like almost like a chance encounter, right?
Yeah.
Because in this book, we have a chapter that talks about chance encounters, you know, how you go along and how you just meet someone by chance, and relationship was built. And that is where yours...
Well, in a way...
It's not so much chance, you've been seeing each other, but you didn't get to that...
That we had to...
So you're going to hit it off right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So, anyway, I met him in the reserve room, and we both had assignments, and so I would go into the reserve room, get the book out, and then stay there, and I got to know Larry that way.
Yeah. And in those days, you meet people, you get to know them, you go out on dates and all of those things, versus what we see now in today's society, where people just meet somebody and straight to bed. That's number one. Or they don't go on dates, you know, they just make a few talks and you win the person over and that's it. How was it for you guys?
Well, it was difficult in a way, because Larry had a car, and it was a Cadillac. And excuse me, it was a 1949 Cadillac.
That was pretty old, right?
And it was pretty old. And he had very little money, so he would turn the lights on in the Cadillac and the engine would stop.
Oh. So if the lights came on, the engine would go out.
Yes.
That's all it was.
Yes.
But guess what? You guys,
We had a lot in common, really.
you had a lot in common. But that didn't prevent you from getting to know this man. It wasn't about material stuff. It was really about...
Oh, it couldn't be about material stuff.
Because the materials were really bad.
Yeah.
So it was about getting to know each other.
Yes.
And looking at the values of it.
And looking at the positive sides of him. And one of the first positive things about him was his family. He came from a family where his mother was a wonderful person.
Okay.
And Larry had had other relationships before me.
Yeah.
His mother would say about his previous girlfriend, she was a quote-unquote cute child.
So she was not mature enough to be a wife and all of that.
Yes. So
family support is very, very important as you engage in intimacy.
yes.
Very important.
Yeah.
Supportive system, right?
Yes.
Very good.
So we got to know each other, and very quickly he invited me over to his house for dinner. And his mother, who got to know me also very quickly, made me a beautiful meal, and turned out that I have allergies, so I had a bad allergy attack, and I couldn't leave his place, so I had to stay over there.
Oh.
I had to stay at his house, and his mother
Yeah.
was so pleased that I was there.
Staying over.
He's staying over.
So, and what I hear also is the importance of getting to know your partner, because a very important part of intimacy, guys, is knowing your partner's family, their relatives, right? Because some of us get in relationship, we don't meet our families, we don't meet our partners' family, and so we have no clue. But so when you get in the relationship, then you start learning some things afterwards that you should have known from the get-go.
And this was really from the get-go.
It was from the get-go, which is important.
Yeah.
All right, so Linda, I realized that your relationship was not always beautiful. It was not always like a textbook story, you know? There have been challenges, and one of the things we're talking about this morning is that sometimes when you're in a relationship, you may not have everything perfect. You'll have a lot of hurdles, but you have to be in it for the long haul. And you must also be prepared to deal with the challenges as they come. What we're finding now is a lot of relationships. People are in the relationships, but they are not there for the long haul. And as soon as a challenge comes up, people are like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this. But also what I find is a lot of people don't know who they are first. Because before you give yourself to someone, you must be at the place where you're okay with you. You don't get in a relationship because I want someone to complete me. I am in this relationship because I need someone to complement me. That's a difference.
It's quite different.
Yeah.
And I felt pretty strong about who I was. And I knew what I wanted from a relationship.
Exactly. Because when you don't know who you want, because it is really unfair for us to want the best out of a relationship. And then hear me out. So it is good for me if I say I want a man that is intellectual. I want a man that is rich, has, money, a house, a car. I want a man that's able to give me certain things. You must be prepared to go in that relationship, Linda, with something. I don't expect you to be, pardon my language, a bum. Sitting home, unemployed, not doing anything, not educating yourself, not upgrading yourself, not learning anything, does not have anything to bring to a relationship, but then you want to find someone else who has all of these niceties just to give it to you. What is it that you are taking to the table? So it is only reasonable, if you are going to get in an intimate relationship, that you get yourself to the place where you are the person that you want to attract. So you were in your university getting your education. Larry was also in university. He was only working in the library, but he was getting himself educated.
Well, no, he also was taking courses.
Right, he was taking courses, so he was being educated.
Yes.
So at that time, it's not that you wanted someone who you could latch on to because he has things to offer you, because he didn't.
Not that much.
Not that much, exactly. But you knew that your education was important. You had a desire to be someone who was able to intellectually represent yourself, because you're pleasing you first. And then he will come in whatever way to compliment you. Did you see it as that way?
I felt exactly that way.
And how do you, what are your views on this in terms of getting yourself to the place where you can offer something to a relationship and not making it one-sided, that I am the one who is going to have to get educated and you are just going to choose me because you want somebody like me? How about equality? You get something for yourself and be the person you want to attract.
Well, that's what I wanted. Someone who knew who he was.
Yeah.
Or I think more he's getting to know who he is. He's in process.
Right.
But the process looks promising.
And that's very important. The process looks promising, so there's no guarantee that when you meet someone, the relationship is going to be perfect right away. You have to invest in it, but you at least assess it in the beginning to see that it looks promising. But tell me, it was not always very bright. There were days, like in my personal relationship, I had challenges because I was more the educated one versus my husband. My husband was a mechanic, an auto repair man, and he didn't have the intellect that I had. But he complimented me because he was able to fix everything around the house. He was able to fix my old car that I had. I needed a car first. I didn't have any money or anything, but we bought an old one that was crashed. And he repaired it. And that was his contribution. So when I drove out, all nice and fancy, going to work in my heels and stuff, he is the one who fixed that car and sent me out. So in a sense, he was not equal to me intellectually, but he was equal to me because his contribution and who he was very important and very relevant in my relationship. We've had challenges. We were not able to pay our bills sometimes, and I got mad with him many times because I feel he wasn't pushing as hard as he ought to make the relationship work. But from the get-go, we have to make a commitment to let it work. And sometimes along the way, we drop the baton because we are not ready to take on the challenges that comes with intimacy and the relationship. Right? You had your challenges too, right?
Oh, yes.
Larry wasn't always that man who has the world to offer you that you'd want. So you had to work twice as hard, right?
I had to work twice as hard, but one of the first things he did was to take me to his home where he lived, because he was going to the university, but he lived at home. And so when I went to his home, and his mother made me a beautiful meal, and I saw the home he came from and how his parents were together, I saw a functioning kind of a family.
And that is important. It's so important.
And also religiously, he was the same religion I was. I'm Jewish.
And that is important.
And I had been told from the time I was a little girl that I had to marry somebody who was Jewish.
And that makes a lot. So you're looking at sameness. You're looking at someone who shares values. Because if you don't have shared values, Sometimes the relationship goes over real high bumps and rocky mountains that you can't get from. So I'm hearing you, Linda. It's very important. The religious, the spiritual, the whole family background is so important because you want to make sure that both of you have shared values. And a lot of times, many persons, you're Christians, you're from a particular religion, but then you choose a man that's a rum drinker. You find a man that is a dance and a party goer, and then you are the church goer. How will that work? You're going to have challenges because your values are so different. So from the get-go in that relationship, you want to look at what are the values. Some of you has never met the family. When you meet the family is when the relationship is so far gone that you're even starting a family, start making babies. And when you realize who the rest of the family are, you realize that this man, what he presents to me or what this woman has presented to me is not altogether the truth. There are some other things that can create real issues in this relationship. So you need to get to meet people, go out with people, have conversations with people, meeting the family, knowing where they are from. Very important, Linda, right?
You know, I heard once that marriage is a lifelong conversation.
It is.
I think that's from Jane Austen, who wrote Pride and Prejudice, that marriage is a lifelong conversation. And both participants must be willing to converse, to talk, to discuss, to talk about their differences and how to overcome any challenges.
And these are some of the key topics that I've had in all three books. Bordering intimacy, beyond intimacy, the world of sex, fantasies and taboos. All of these, there are various components that talk about communication. And you have to understand the whole aspect of communication. It's not just saying something, but it's processing the information.
Actually.
And feedback.
And yes, it's important feedback. And it's responding and feeling.
Yeah.
How you respond to the feedback, how you respond to the initial conversation.
Exactly. So a lot of people, because they don't follow up with that conversation, you say something, but your partner has not received it the way you want it to be communicated. People have desires and feelings that they want to be known. But what I find is a lot of people in intimacy, it's like you explore, but you don't say, yes, that's it. You try something and you don't say, yes, I like that. I like where you touch me. I like how you do that. I appreciate the way you say that. This makes me feel this way. What we do instead is resist and rebel. So communication is important because your partner needs to know what it is that you're feeling. They need to clearly understand what is it that you're saying. And they also need to know what you don't want to say and what you don't want to do. Right? Very important, Linda, right? So there's so much in intimacy and relationship that is important, because when you talk with someone who has been married for over 60 odd years, and for now, her husband is still alive, there are some health challenges, but even at this moment, the way Linda interacts with Larry is loving, it's caring. He may not be able to give back because of his health condition, but the love is still there, and she tries to communicate to him as much as possible. And he communicates to her as best as he can.
I think that I should say that my husband has Alzheimer's.
Yes.
So that makes it difficult. It's a real challenge. But what I do is I've learned that people with Alzheimer's respond to music.
Yeah.
So what I do is I play music for him, and also I sing to him. So instead of saying something, I will sing it. I'll say, his name is Larry, so I say, Larry, Larry, Larry Nieman.
Larry, Larry, Larry Nieman.
Larry, Larry, Larry Nieman. Here comes your wife, Linda.
And that's beautiful. You know what I get from this, Linda? When you are committed to a relationship, you stay in it. The boat is going to rock, but you deal with the challenges as they come. And guess what? He has Alzheimer's. He's not 100% aware that you're there, but you try to communicate. And just by going to sing, you reach him some days. Some days he'll respond. Some days he'll laugh. Some days he'll... What I like most when you say, Larry, can I kiss you, Larry? And he says, yes. And you go over and you kiss him and his mouth is all going up, waiting for more kisses. Because you've had a loving relationship over these years. And you communicate it. And even with the Alzheimer's, you have not given up. You still continue to communicate that I love you, and that is what is important.
I try to find the connection.
That is important because a relationship needs connection. If you don't feel that connection, the relationship is not going anywhere, right? So you have to connect with the partner that you have. And these books share all this information and more. So I'm encouraging you guys to go out and start looking at what it is that you want for your relationship. Visit my website, serenastrategy.com, and continue to watch this channel because we're going to be putting a lot of information. In another few weeks, these books will be out. You'll be able to buy these books. I'll be taking various chapters and I'll be sharing with you on this platform. We'll be discussing the different components of this intimacy journey, and I hope you will come back another time. And of course, I'll have Linda on another time so we can talk about the journey to intimacy. In fact, there is a workbook that says the journey to intimacy. It's now on the platform, serenastrategy.com. You can go and you can purchase it. I'll be giving out some stuff for free, but there are some other things there that you can buy. I will also be doing a series on my journey to healing from lupus. So you can look for that also. For those persons who are diagnosed with lupus, I am bringing great hope because I have lived it, I have experienced it, and I am prepared to share with you. In fact, I am so proud of Linda. At her age, all Linda takes is vitamins because nutrition is so important. Good thoughts and positive mental health is so important. And our well-being, self-care, and self-love is very, very important. Final words, Linda. Say to our audience what you'd want the key message to be with regards to their health and also their intimate relationship.
What I realize is that there's two parts to a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you give and what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a middle ground where all that comes together. And whatever stage you're at, you have to know that it's beautiful and it's worth preserving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always going to remain the same, but you have to get pleasure and realize that it's beautiful at whatever stage it is. And if I didn't have that with Larry,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be able to do like I did this morning, get up, and when I went in and I talked to him, today is a day that his Alzheimer's has receded a little bit.
Beautiful.
And he talked to me when I went in.
And it's refreshing, right?
Yes. And it's like an electric flash that goes through me when he does that. And I know I can never give up on this man.
Never.
I love him. I will love him forever. And we made two beautiful children together. That's the most beautiful thing of my life, those two children that
Yep.
Larry and I made together. And I still have in my mind the day my daughter was born. And he went into the room where I was in the hospital, and he said, "Oh my goodness, she looks like me."
That is good. In our Jamaican culture, the man will say that baby don't look like me, that look like a jacket. A jacket means that's a wrong baby. I mean, that's another man.
No.
But that's just a joke. Not everybody in Jamaica, it's just a little thing on the side. We do have happy men who come in and say, "Oh, babies look like me," just like Linda. All right. Thank you very much, Linda, for sharing with me. I hope we'll do this again pretty soon. And it was a delight hearing about your experience of 60, how many years?
61.
61 years of marriage. Beautiful years.
Yes.
And they've had a lot of adventures.
And they're not over yet.
And they're not over yet. So even though Larry is not able to do the things how he used to do it 60 years ago, he's still awesome. He's still amazing. And Linda is amazing herself. Thank you very much for sharing, and I'll see you again. Thank you for being a part of Serena's Strategy. Bye.
Bye.